Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Marjorie Taylor Greene trounces this unhinged Democrat who cares more about pushing his own ridiculous impeachment methods than, tackling illegal immigration. Let's dive in.
The Trump administration has repeatedly engaged in activities that conflict with decisions and orders of the Supreme Court of the United States. For example, the Trump administration wrongfully deported a Maryland man despite an immigration judge having granted him withholding of removal. Trump's own lawyers said that the deportation was an accident, and the Supreme Court ordered that the Trump administration facilitate the man's release from the custody in El Salvador and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been had he not been improperly sent to El Salvador. Nevertheless, the Trump administration has ignored the Supreme Court and done nothing. That poor man is still rotting in a jail in El Salvador, and his family is suffering, having lost a husband, father, and provider. Congress must not enable such lawlessness and fascist fanatism. If we do not stop it now, there will be no democratically elected Congress to stop it later.
The gentlewoman from Georgia is recognized for 5 minutes on her minute.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Biden administration created one of the most damaging national security threats our country has ever faced. They allowed over 12 million illegals from over 170 countries and territories to break our laws, invade our country, rape our women and children, and murder our own people. Now Democrats are fighting against the Trump administration, fighting against deportations of people who broke our laws, who are members of the cartel, and they're protesting every single day for these cartel members to be brought back in America, which is a national security risk. 2 million of these illegals that the Biden administration and Democrats welcomed into the country are known gotaways who completely evaded U.S. authorities and are roaming the interior of the United States. Included in these 12 million are special interest aliens, also known as SIAs. Special interest aliens are individuals who pose a potential national security risk to the United States, typically from a nation that promotes terrorist activity or harbors terrorists. Under the Biden-Harris administration, there were at least 1.7 million special interest aliens from 26 countries encountered at our border. This does not include the potential SIAs among the 2 million known gotaways. I say at least because the true scope of how many SIAs remains largely unknown, since DHS is not required to disclose this critical information publicly. The American people deserve to know how many potential terrorists are coming across the border and which countries they are from, which is exactly what my bill does. And I can't imagine how anybody across the aisle can even argue with this. According to the former Chief Border Patrol agent of the San Diego sector, prior to the Biden-Harris administration, the sector averaged only 10 to 15 SIAs arrests per year. He testified, once word was out that the border was far easier to cross, San Diego went to over 100 SIAs in 2022, well over that in 2023, and even more that this year. And that's the ones that they knew of. The number of special interest aliens skyrocketed over the last 4 years, and even more egregiously, the Biden administration tried to cover it up. The administration of Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and Secretary Mayorkas, impeached by the House, by the way, told the chief's Border Patrol agent of the San Diego sector that he was prohibited from releasing any of this information on the increase in SIAs or mention any of the arrests at the time. That's unbelievable. The administration tried to convince the public that there was no threat at the border. They were complicit in covering up the invasion at our border. The American people deserve to know the number of potential terrorists Kamala Harris and Joe Biden allowed to come in the United States. They also deserve to know the numbers under the Trump administration to see a president who cares about the American people secure the border. That is why I'm urging the support for my legislation, which would require DHS to publicly release information each month on the number of SIA encounters, as well as countries of origin. Thankfully, President Trump has secured our border and restored our nation's sovereignty. Given the number of border crossings is down 94%, border crossings are down 94%, down to the lowest monthly levels ever recorded.
And that is some great progress right there, just by the fact that a new guy has come into office that has scared illegal immigration to the point where it's down 95%. This should be cause for celebration, but instead the Democrat Party is screaming. They are still screaming about the Abreu Garcia case, all because the Trump administration took one step a little too quickly to deport the man, even though his nation should have been removed from the do not deport list, and therefore he should be back in El Salvador. And guess what? Trump asked, hey, President Bukele, can we have this guy back so you know he can clear this one thing on our custody and so we can take him right back to you? And to which President Bukele laughed and said, no thank you. I think that fills out the requirement of the Supreme Court to facilitate the release. But a larger requirement of that court decision was, hey, lower courts, you're not allowed to tell the president what he can and can't do on foreign policy. It was basically a smackdown to the lower courts and a reminder that the Supreme Court is indeed, well, supreme. And Marjorie Taylor Greene understands that, and she just goes into this Democrat, this poor fool, who, let's just say, well, let's get into Shri Thanedar, shall we? This dude is representative from Michigan. I almost said Virginia for some reason. But he's a representative from Michigan, a very recent dude. He's only in his second term, and no one likes him. I don't know how this dude got elected. No one likes him in his own backyard. No one likes him up on the Hill. And now he's written a ridiculous set of impeachment articles. And then a couple of weeks ago, in the middle of May 2025, the dude tried to pass it through Congress. And his own party were just seething at him. Members behind closed doors were just fuming about this ridiculousness. All because if they are forced to take a position on a terribly written impeachment bill, it's going to hurt them in the midterms. So, don't interrupt your opponent while he's making a mistake, but this is what was happening behind the scenes. Several lawmakers told Axios they believe Thanedar's impeachment efforts are clearly aimed at galvanizing support in his contested Democrat primary. A senior House Democrat, who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to offer insights to the private reactions of their colleagues, told Axios, people are pissed. This is what happens when you jump the gun and you go off half-cocked, so to speak. This is what happens when you try to rush impeachment and, by the way, with no bounds or reasons whatsoever. I've read, all you gotta do is type in a Democrat impeachment proceedings and look the second story down, and you'll see Shri Thanedar instead of Al Green, who, should have been censured on the floor, but Mike Johnson didn't have the guts to, do his job. But ultimately, this dude thinks it's going to be a good idea and it will save his political career if he goes harder after Trump. People aren't buying that. Not even Democrats in their primaries buy it. And the Democrats in their primaries are nuts. If you think that Democrats are crazy to begin with, wait till you meet their primary voters. Okay? That is what keeps on pushing the crazy in the Democrat Party, and it's in the way they pick out their candidates. They want the crazy. They love the crazy. Or there's another side to that coin. Rich white liberals will see a minority candidate and immediately vote for that person because, well, minority candidate. So ultimately, Shri Thanedar is in some hot water. He is trying to pass impeachment proceedings and forced his colleagues to take a stand when they weren't ready, when they know that historically involves major backlash against whatever party's bringing it up. And remember, folks, we didn't care when they brought up impeachment the first time against Trump. What makes you think we're going to care the second time? It's going to be more of that same circus. But when it comes to this circus, I think the worst part of it is the fact that they're still pushing the Abreu Garcia lie. That is, that this man is a Maryland man. And in this video, Shri Thanedar had the terrible usage of the word Maryland man. Abreu Garcia is not from Maryland. He is from El Salvador. He illegally immigrated in 2011. He has had multiple affiliations with MS-13, was picked up with known MS-13 members, was wearing pro-MS-13 memorabilia. Well, there's a new sheriff in town, and now ICE does want to deal with this nonsense. And that's why they're trying to clean up the streets. That's why Tom Ullman is doing his job. And of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene has a special reason to be so angry about this situation. She has a couple of daughters who went to Georgia schools. And in these Georgia schools, there's a place called the University of Georgia. They just opened up a nursing program in order to keep up with the higher demand here in the state. In that new UGA program, a young girl by the name of Laken Riley was enrolled. And Athens, Clarke County is ruled entirely by Democrats. It is essentially a third world country here in the United States. That's literally what it is. The roads are all a mess. You are more likely to lose a tire to the roads out there than you are anywhere else on Georgia roads, except maybe I-20 going out to Alabama. Man, I really hope they fix that up by now. But her name was Laken Riley. She was slain by an illegal migrant. So when it comes to Georgia lawmakers, yeah, MTG is the perfect person to give this man what for. Because again, Democrats care more about protecting illegal migrants than they are protecting American citizens. That's what Shri Thanedar actually stands for. And please tell me if I'm getting his name right below. I am terrible with pronouncing Indian names, but regardless, this schmuck is about to get primaried by his own people, and his own party are absolutely livid with this dude. And as an average American, yeah, I'm pretty ticked off with him too. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one, and someone get that man a barber.